Though your path toward enlightenment, happiness, success is ultimately inevitable because the game is rigged for you to win, it's very important to recognize that the path, the terrain, can be treacherous. Now, why is that so? When you understand that though you are a creator of your own universe, right, your subjective reality, you have to recognize that even in the understanding that when you are looking to get to a point in your life, okay, in your existence beyond this life, where you find, say, enlightenment, okay, which is ultimately really the realization, the self-realization as to who you are, being a creator, being a spark from divine source. When you are, say, where you currently are in this space, in this reality, in this time and space, you understand when you take the spiritual journey, one of the most aha moments is realizing that you're going to inevitably reach this point in your existence. It may not be in this lifetime, even though I'm a big fan and I will always tell you that it most certainly can be in this lifetime for all of us. But for many of us, okay, who find it hard to let go of things, find it hard to accept oneself, find it hard to be truly authentic with oneself, they may have to live life or have numerous experiences of life via different identities and different environments, cultures, what have you, different stories, right? Belief systems, in order for them to evolve beyond it to reach this point. But ultimately, we all reach this point. Okay. Now, not to get distracted by that concept in itself, but what I want you to understand is you, okay, will always reach this point. That's a given. Okay. We made that clear in the first few minutes of this presentation. But what I want you to understand is this path here and the significance of the path. Now, let me make this a little bit wider, because really what I want you to understand on your spiritual journey is that when we are often going through this process and when we're thinking about life and we're thinking about what we experienced in life, what we had, what we don't have, or what we didn't have, when we are in the present moment of life and we are processing all those things with the layers of teachings from different sources, different people's, ideas about life and what it means to live life and how to connect with spirit and all of these layers and layers and layers and layers of things on top of one another, it can be very overwhelming. And what happens is you can be somebody who's at the cusp of a breakthrough. You could be somebody who has mastered oneself really well, but yet still question yourself, still feel like or have a fear that you're missing something, you see, when in fact you may be exactly where you're supposed to be. And so many of us who are in this phase of awakening, highly evolved beings, already in tune, right, with that reality, with that identity, with that perspective, can often feel like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to be struggling, right? Not in a sense of financial struggles, not in a sense of life struggles, but in a sense of we always identify with the hero's journey, where the hero has to go through a lot of sacrifice, a lot of, troubles and challenges, right? Where in order for them to break through into being the hero that they are meant to be, they have to go through these things first. And so we so identify with that that many times we are already beyond, right, that journey. We're already at the cusp, at the beginnings of being the hero, truly tapping into your authentic self. But because we don't identify the struggles like we've seen it projected on TV or in stories, we feel like, well, maybe I'm missing something because that didn't seem that bad. Or, maybe I am just not evolved enough to catch it. Okay. So there's a lot of things that we tend to do to ourselves where we kind of make things complicated, more complicated than they need be. When you're on the spiritual journey, what I want you to understand is we know that the path from here to here is inevitable. But sometimes when we are on this journey consciously, like you are, because you're watching this, you're listening to this, you have a greater sense of awareness as to what's going on around you, as to different avenues that you can take, right? So you can take an infinite amount of routes and directions. One direction can be following your church. Another direction can be going to a whole different religion. One direction can be following a particular teaching when it comes to finances. One direction can be not really worried about finances, but just focusing on love and relationships and people, right? One of those branches can be a combination of two of those things, or maybe all three. We can even just focus on spiritual teachings in itself and say, okay, here we're focusing on a particular methodology, theory, concept, right? Belief system that we resonate with. And so what happens is because we're being constantly exposed to all of these different options, it often sends us in a space where we are confused, right? Because maybe we actually pick the thing that resonates with us the most. And when something resonates with you, truly resonates with you, there is an ease that comes with it. But when you go a direction where it doesn't quite resonate with you, there is because simply it doesn't really align with you, right? It doesn't align with your overall destination. But what I want you to understand is no matter which one of these branches you take, you will always eventually end up here. Okay. Now, I say that to say this, knowing that you will always end up at the finish line means that you can relax when it comes to starting or when it comes to the midpoint of the journey. The point of this is it's about recognizing your path. It's about accepting your path. It's about falling in love with your path. Now, when I say your path, the constant, the thing that brings that all of these together is you. Okay. Now, why is this significant? Because all of these things really don't matter. What matters most is you. In order for you to choose the right path, trust, okay, in you. Many times we are taking or exposing ourselves to all of these different paths and routes and ideas because we are doubting you. You are doubting yourself. Now, what happens is even when you pick a path, okay, that is absolutely resonating and in alignment with yourself, And okay, it may not be the straightest path, but it could be, right? Because we often say the fastest way from point A to point B is a straight line. So let's say you pick this straight line, right? You find exactly what resonates with you, and you don't have to go this very long scenic route. Even though some people are true adventurers and they want to go the scenic route. But for you, you recognize, okay, these are the things that resonate with me, and I'm going to follow that. When you understand that, all right, then basically everything feels easy. Okay. But we are still exposed to different points in this route where we're exposed to different ideas, different theories, different belief systems. And even though you haven't grabbed onto anything because you really don't see it resonate with you, you really feel like it's not your thing, you still kind of pay attention to it and you grab pieces of it and you keep it moving. That's exactly how you're supposed to live your life. That's exactly how you're supposed to walk your path. And so when you recognize, though, because we've got things a little bit twisted, we think life is supposed to be complicated. We think life is supposed to be hard. We think that the struggle is something that is prominent, important, and must be, when that's not the case. But when you are connected with your path and you feel a sense of ease about it, okay, do not sabotage this ease in questioning, right? In questioning the path that you're on. Just because you've gone through something very, traumatic when it comes to the standards of, you know, objective reality and how other people would view that particular traumatic event. But you've managed to get over it fast, to get past it fast, faster than most people. It doesn't mean that you have to question that. Okay. It doesn't mean that even though everybody's saying like, oh, how do you feel about it? Are they trying to dive and project their own beliefs as to how they would deal with it onto you? It doesn't mean you have to accept it. It doesn't mean that it is right for you. And so you have to recognize that the path that you're on may be one that is the right path. And it is the right path. But easy, does that mean that is wrong? It does not mean that you're weak, right? Sometimes we take the challenge or the struggle or, the trials as a badge of honor that, oh yeah, this was hard, so therefore it was the right way to do it. Okay, just because something is hard doesn't mean it was the best way to take the approach, that it was something that you should necessarily be proud of. So, what I want you to understand, though, is that the path of your life, okay, because you're probably at a point where you're questioning things, you're wondering if this is what you're meant to do, who you're meant to be, all these different things. And what I want you to understand is that, yeah, the path all goes to the same place. Some paths are more scenic, meaning they are long. They may come back this way. You may feel like you're going backwards, swirling around, going in spirals, right? And finally, right, you hope, but you don't know that you'll feel like you get to this final, right, point of enlightenment, understanding of who you are. Now, the thing is, like I said, there are some people who want to take this road, and there's nothing wrong with this road. But the reason why people take this road, right, they're not doing it consciously. They're doing it more of a unconscious thing where you're taking a route, okay, that for whatever reason, based on your limiting beliefs, based on your culture, based on things that really aren't in alignment with who you are and don't serve you, they tend to pull you in different directions. And so your consciousness is trying to lead you in the right direction. Okay. It's trying to lead you to this destination. But many times your ego is turning you another direction. Okay. Sometimes your ego is pointing you back to a different path. Sometimes your ego decides that it's going to go backwards. You know, for example, when you study spirituality, okay, and you read numerous books on spirituality, most times it's from different authors, right? They're not saying the exact same thing. They're saying different things. And you're taking all of these pieces of information and all this insight. You know, you're reading Neville Goddard, okay? And this has been your journey with Neville Goddard. Then you're reading Wayne Dyer. Then you're reading Osho, okay? Then you're reading the Bible, okay? You're taking all these different paths. Essentially, that's what you're doing when you're reading all these books. And so what you're doing is you're going here, okay? Then you say, all right, I'm done with reading the Bible. Let me try something else. You go backwards. Then you go here. All right, I'm bored with this. Let me try something else. Then you go here. All right, I'm going to try Osho, right? Sometimes that's what it's like when you're on the spiritual journey. You're kind of jumping from one thing to the next. The reality is, it is all happening. It is all connecting, right? And it comes down to one thing. It comes down to really you. It comes down to ultimately trusting yourself. So instead of feeling like you're on the wrong path, what I really want you to understand and get from this is that you are the path. Okay. So when you understand you are the path, what it lends itself to is faith, right? Having faith in yourself. Because when you lack faith in yourself, then that's when you start questioning everything that you are doing. That's when you're here and you're walking this direction. And then you say, wait a minute, I'm not sure. Or there's a challenge that comes up here. There's a wall or something, right? That shows up in the way, a block, an opportunity, really. And then you say, you know what? I'm going to go this way instead because I don't want to deal with that, right? Because I don't trust myself to be able to deal with that. And then you've, hit another wall. And instead of dealing with it, you say, you know what? I'm going to go back this way. And then I'm going to go here. Then you hit another wall, right? All these walls are really opportunities for awakening, breakthrough. Because when you're truly on your path, right? And your path, again, is about you. Now, what does that mean? That means you're really the path initially, just like any journey that you take, right? Any trip that you take, it's about collecting supplies, right? Before you take a good trip, you want to make sure you have all the things you need. Before you drive your car someplace, you want to make sure you have a gas at least. When you take a road trip, you want to make sure, okay, do we have enough money to buy food, gas, and get us to that destination? The same thing applies to your spiritual journey. But the first thing you want to do is start collecting is self-awareness. Okay? Self-awareness really expresses itself to be authenticity. Okay? Knowing your true self, being authentic. So as you are taking this walk on your journey, you are assessing you. You are looking at yourself. and all of the many layers of yourself. You are taking a tally, you are collecting data, you are analyzing, you are having fun in this process. And so there you are collecting all of this insight, all of this wisdom. And so that way, when say a block comes, right, a challenge, an obstacle, you know so much about yourself, right, that you can actually push through, break through the obstacle, the wall, the block. And then, there will be another one that comes up. Now, the thing is, every time you hit a wall or an opportunity because you dealt with the first one, and before that one, you collected all the insight about yourself, you have more evidence, right? You have affirmations, you have confirmations as to who you are and your ability to get through these blocks. So now you're even stronger. Let's say we'll make your path thicker, right? Because you're stronger to break through that one. Okay. And then there'll be another one, maybe even a thicker wall challenge. But now at this point, you've gotten even thicker, bigger, stronger. And so you break through that one. So every time you break through, right, the path here gets thicker, meaning you get stronger. You build more confidence in yourself. Another opportunity comes through. You break through that one. Eventually, it gets to a point where a breakthrough shows up or an opportunity shows up, and you've built up so much of understanding who you are that now the path, you are so big, right? So confident, so connected with yourself that the wall, the challenge itself doesn't really even exist. It's there, you see it, but you just go right through it because you know who you are. You have the self-awareness. You have true authenticity and connection with yourself. And this is what I mean by you are the path. So when you look at these things in your life that are showing up and you're questioning, should I do this? Should I do that? Should I do this? Should I do that? What if, what if, what if? Remember that the what ifs are based on a lot of things, but they're based on your intention, right? Like I say, your faith, your, resilience, resolve, so your commitment, right? All these things are things that you understand as you take this path, as you define you along this journey. So that's the point here. The path, okay, is you. And the more you gain clarity about who you are, okay, then the easier your path is. So every area of your life, this plays a role, okay? So if it is money is a big one, right? We all want money. Money is energy, is a frequency. So the more you are in tune with self, the more you emanate a frequency of abundance, of joy, of sharing. Okay. Money is about sharing. It's about an exchange. Okay. Even when you think about relationships, the best relationships are grounded in the individuals knowing the most about themselves, being truly clear about who they are. Okay. That's why they say you can't love somebody unless you love yourself. That essentially means being authentic and being clear about who you are. Health. Okay. The key to health is recognizing how, okay, you do best with, say, food, right? And activity, right? So food, there are infinite amount of diets that you can try, okay? That you feel like will not only resonate with your body, but really your mindset, really how you think and process things. Activity. There are infinite ways that you can be active and manage and keep your body fit. You know, you can go running, you can do Pilates, you can do yoga. You know what I mean? You can do infinite things to keep you fit. Swimming, playing pickleball, whatever it is. There are infinite ways. So you can't get caught up in, I'm not good at dieting. Dieting just means how you eat. It means a lifestyle of eating. So you just have to decide, okay, out of all of these infinite ways of eating to align with me and my health, you have to know you first. Okay. And then once you know you and get into who you are, sometimes trying these different things will help reveal who you are. Yes. But ultimately, focusing on you is key. And then these things come together along your path. All right. So focus on you. These are just part of the path. Okay. But then you collectively and continuously go toward focusing on what it is that you know, need, what you desire, what you want, what you feel is right for you. But most importantly, the point of this is really understanding that you must have faith in you and your process. Okay. You have to make sure that you balance because sometimes people's faith is blind and it is led by ego. So you have to get into how you feel because we are emotional before we are anything else. So feeling is really the key. Some people may ask, well, how do I know the difference? Right? How do I know the difference when I'm having faith in myself versus when I'm just being stubborn? Okay. That's part of it, right? So when you have faith, true faith is grounded in a feeling of peace, right? But when you are being stubborn, right, it is a feeling of, let's say, aggression, right? Anger, right? So that is not, these are all negative emotions. Peace is positive. So how you feel determines, okay, essentially where you're going, the direction you're at, all right, and what's happening. Is it right or wrong for you? Okay. Always make sure that you're clear that this is about you and nobody else. And so when people tell you, okay, oh, you went through this thing, you should be traumatized, or you should be feeling this, or you should be feeling that. That is them projecting what they think they would feel if they went through it, right? And don't accept that, okay? What you want to do is be in true connection with yourself. So that way you understand, okay, this is how I'm feeling. I feel angry. I feel sad. I feel frustrated. That is your indicator that there are some things you should be addressing. But if you're at a place where, you know what, I feel okay, like I feel cool. Yeah, I know I went through this thing, but I feel okay about it. Then don't second guess that. Trust that. Because what that's going to do is allow you to continue to move forward. When you start questioning yourself, then it starts slowing down your progress, right? It starts slowing down the journey. They say, you know, the universe loves speed. So allow yourself to just go with that. Okay. Trusting yourself, have faith in yourself. When you do that, then that's when the path, your journey becomes not only peaceful, but enjoyable. It becomes a pleasure. It becomes exciting, right? It becomes true fun. And that's what we all want to experience in our lives. And so this is what I invite you to do. Simply take time out to collect your thoughts and really contemplate on your emotion, your emotional state. Ask yourself, how do you feel? Any given moment as it pertains to any given topic or issue or category. And always think about those things. And when you notice there's a pattern, then you go into, okay, I need to do something different. But if you recognize that you're good, then you just simply trust in yourself and trust that you're on the right path and just keep moving along to the next thing, to the next thing. Okay. And you build upon that. That is what life is supposed to be about. So if you're dealing with money, if you're dealing with relationships or health, when you know you're on the right path, right? Even though the optics of it could be a little bit off, right? You may be saying, I want to make lots of money. I've done this, I've done that. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm embodying that, right? But the money isn't in my account yet, but you feel at peace, when you make that content, when you write that book, when you build that business, as you're building it, you feel at peace, you feel excited, you feel like you're connected with purpose. Then you're on the right path. But if you're feeling anxious, you're feeling angry, you're feeling pissed off, you're feeling annoyed, then you may be doing the right things, but your frequency is off. So they are not going to fruit, right? Those seeds are not going to bear fruit. You make sure that you are in the mindset of peace, of gratitude. Okay. That means you are on the right track. But anger, the negative emotions are going to keep you all over the place. All right. And it all comes down to having faith in yourself. Have faith in yourself, have faith in your talents, have faith in your passion, your purpose, your love for yourself and what it is that you wish to do. And that will create for you all the things you dream about, all the things that you desire. Okay. So keep moving forward in that and just trusting yourself, and all the things that you desire in your life are there. They're waiting for you. Okay. They're coming to you. They are you. All right. So I thank you so much for listening. If you're interested in buying an amazing book, an amazing journal to help you align with your future self, the version of you that has it all, please go to futureselffrequency.com. There you can put in your email address and I will give you a series of gifts that will help you to align with your future self. So that way you don't feel disconnected to life like you may be feeling right now. Okay. So go to futureselffrequency.com. Till then, I'll see you next time. Peace and abundance always.